Happy Thanksgiving week, 4P family. This is episode 51. And you know what I am most thankful for this year? It is that my family aren't the kind of people who wake up early on Thanksgiving morning to run in turkey trots or 5Ks, because those people are terrible. Thanksgiving is one of my favorite holidays, but it can also be stressful, and not just if you have politically divided families. Cooking, even if you like it, for lots of people is hard. Managing things in and out of the oven and when to serve it, not fun. So I hope everyone hosting their families this year has done the smart thing, and that is order your entire meal from a local caterer or a market. And it's a holiday. Why do you want to be killing yourself by cooking so much food for so many people who are probably going to complain about it anyway? Now, catering your Thanksgiving, or better yet, going out to eat, is the best thing that you can do for your family. It's the best thing I've done for my family. I cannot recommend it enough. Not all CEOs are entrepreneurs, and not all entrepreneurs make for good CEOs. A former colleague of mine, Leo Morihone, has been building up his own consultancy and network called Build and Inspire, and doing really interesting stuff. And I've asked him to talk about the biggest unexpected challenge he's faced in starting a business.
One of the hardest things about being an entrepreneur that really people don't tell you and people don't really talk about, and I don't know why, maybe it's taboo or just people don't want to admit that they're dealing with some kind of emotional things, but when you become an entrepreneur, no one tells you how lonely it could be and how much anxiety you could have and really how depressed you could feel at certain times. When things go really well, you could get really excited, obviously, but at the end of the day, I look around and I'm like, that went really well, right? And at the same time, when things go poorly, it's like, yeah, I look at myself and it could be hard some days. And I think really what I've learned from this is to have a good network of people that I could call up to celebrate, people that I could call up when I'm feeling sad or down, and people that could inspire me. So building that network of people, building that really community of just friends and family and other entrepreneurs that understand what you're going through, and really speaking up about it. I think a lot of times I would just bottle it up, and someone asked me how I was doing and I'd be like, oh, I'm doing fantastic. Things are great, but they weren't. And I've changed that. Now I want to say, you know what? Actually, today was hard, and talking about those issues, and that's really helped. And I think every entrepreneur out there should really focus on building a network and being honest with themselves, their family, and the people around them so they could get the support that they need. And when you get that support, I think your business will grow better than ever before.
The SNL skit this past weekend featuring Steve Carell as Jeff Bezos was entertaining on a few levels, but it's an interesting take on the CEO as a political actor. In so many ways, a CEO must master the art of politics, at least internal corporate politics, in order to be successful as a leader. I've spent a pretty good amount of time with a number of successful CEOs, including a few even quite recently. And in both politics and business, a leader's success often hinges on her or his powers of persuasion. Now, in order to achieve their overall aspirations or ambitions, CEOs and politicians must be able to translate them into tangible goals and should create concrete timelines for their completion. But they also don't have to have all the answers, right? CEOs should act as passionate advocates for change within their company, but if everything's already fleshed out, there's little room for anyone other than the CEO to contribute ideas to a project, meaning that promising additional thoughts might be stifled, or people might actually feel stifled. All right, so bear with me on this one. Despite the wishes of some misinformed leaders, our global economic system is more intertwined than ever before, and we have to ensure that it's working in everybody's best interest. Now, in the modern world, both the quantity and the quality of workforces are in decline due to a few factors. One being aging populations. People are getting older and living longer, which then raises the ratio of dependent retirees to workers. And then that hampers overall productivity. Another thing, as technology replaces low wage jobs first, this is definitely going to exacerbate income inequality. So, why is this political? These same income disparities are also going to increase the risk of social and political instability in countries around the world as more people lose trust in their governments or in their economic systems. With Brexit and with certainly with Trump, protectionist trade policies like tariffs or quotas, these things harm the global economy by limiting trade and thus squeezing the amount of capital that goes back and forth between borders and across borders. Different administrations flip and reverse on policies, right? When we have a new president, they often may change or revert something, right? We just saw how the US did this by shamelessly backing out of the Paris Climate Accord, right? But what's worse is that we've tried this model of tariffs and quotas, and it's failed. Yet some people still haven't learned. Now, if you haven't seen Ferris Bueller's Day Off, you might not know what the Smoot-Hawley tariff is, but it was a disaster for the US because other countries then retaliated by imposing tariffs back on American products. The result was job losses and a lower living standard that wasn't rectified until after the Second World War. So there are a couple things that the US can specifically do about this. However, we have to make some serious changes. Off the top of my head, there are two things. The first is we should extend politicians' terms in office, but simultaneously impose term limits. The longer terms in office will allow leaders to focus on long-term solutions to increased accountability, right? The second is voting. We just need more people voting. Voting has to be mandatory. That's right. If you're eligible to vote and don't vote, maybe there should be like a fine. Australia's done it, and it works. Voters are fundamentally responsible for electing politicians and the policies that they implement. Of course, it's just that one party in America doesn't want to allow for more people to vote. Can you guess which one it is?